Welcome to Hiring Happy Hour, where we celebrate the human side of hiring. I'm your host, Nicole Hammond, and together we'll pull back the curtain on people shaping the future of work, the innovators, the dreamers, the change makers behind today's hiring experience. These are the real stories behind the dashboards, from leaders transforming talent acquisition to the everyday moments that remind us why we love hiring in the first place, to connect people with purpose. Hiring Happy Hour is brought to you by SmartRecruiters, an SAP company, the AI-powered software for superhuman hiring, helping organizations hire faster, smarter, and more human. All right, everyone. Today is very, very, very special, and the theme is believe. This is a woman that I truly believe has not only disrupted the industry, but has made an amazing career for me and future of our company, SmartRecruiters. So she is a forward-thinking, product-obsessed, people-first leader in the HR tech space. She is someone who actively reshaped how companies hire, a champion of AI and automation to help enterprises recruit faster and smarter at the same time when most talent acquisition technology hasn't caught up, true story, to the demands of modern organizations. She's leading this approach at global scale, turning future of work ideas into real execution. True. She built her career across HR and tech, leading product teams at JobVite, BranchOut, and Playdom before spending a decade at SmartRecruiters across SVP of Growth, VP of Product, and VP of Solutions Consulting, with a tiny stint at Checker as GM of Checker Pay and Chief of Staff to the CEO in between. Today, she is shepherding SmartRecruiters through its acquisition by SAP, a major, major milestone that she describes as building the future of work together, all while keeping the entire team intact and the product vision laser focused on AI-powered recruiting. CEO at SmartRecruiters, please join me in welcoming Rebecca Carr. Welcome.
My gosh, you're so good at introductions. You know, I hate introductions. It's like my least favorite part of a meeting, not because I don't like to get to know people, but because I hate introducing myself. And I really hate the voice of God when you're on stage. Like, it's so much pressure on the moment. That was lovely, though. Thank you.
I might just record it so you have it, and instead of saying I'm Rebecca Carr, just press play.
Just push play. Exactly.
Today's going to be so fun because, well, one, I know you, and this is just going to be real fun because everything you say, I'll be like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. And I'll probably learn a few things along the way. But I wore a hat, not because it's Friday and I have bad hair, but only because there is a theme to today's. There is a huge theme around belief and just you taking us on this journey. And I said it to you and I'll say it again, like nobody else could have done this, Rebecca. So I'm really excited for you to share, part one of your early career and how all this came to be. And then part two, so listen in listeners for, that transition as a CEO and the acquisition, that, minor detail we talk about daily. So
Daily.
let's get right into it. I think that listeners are listening with their ears open because they love to hear more about you. And this isn't the usual podcast because a lot of the times you're talking about a theme. You're talking about the world of work, et cetera. And it's not that we're not going to talk about that. Well, we're going to focus more on you, the Rebecca Carr of the world. So let's start with the, industry question. And I want you to share with our audience what your hiring happy hour is as we think early career pre-CEO.
A lot of my journey has taken place at SmartRecruiters. In fact, it feels like a very short period of time, but it's been a very long period of time. And that's when I think about my career in its totality, it's been about half. And so when I say early career, I'm going to go with like the first three, like 75%, because I still feel like I'm in my early career. When SmartRecruiters first got started, I remember I kind of took a leap of faith and I came, and a lot of it was actually very accidental how I ended up at SmartRecruiters. One of the folks that was at SmartRecruiters was demoing the product, and they accidentally sent out a real referral link via LinkedIn. And I was like, so nice, Bill asking me to apply to this job. Why not? Like, it wasn't intentional.
I did not know that.
And I actually applied to the demo account, which is how I got connected to SmartRecruiters. So think about just how crazy that is. But when we were getting started, obviously, we were still trying to define our identity and figure out sort of where we wanted to play, SMB, enterprise, all the above. And we decided to move up market. And I remember this crazy analogy where we were all sitting in a room And Brett Queener, who at the time was our COO, said, I feel like instead of invading the castle, this is like the analogy he used, invading the castle and like crossing the moat and going in to the enterprise like everyone else does, with the assumption that like the journey up to finally breaking down the doors was this like long march from SMB to mid-market to enterprise. We're just going to helicopter in and we're just going to land ourselves right over the top of the castle. So we decided to do that. And we were like, well, we need to go find a crazy account that's going to be that thing. And interestingly enough, around the same moment, we got this inbound from Bosch. Obviously, huge German company, crazy big, private, but like still like a just unbelievably valuable organization, very complex. Came in and they're like, we'd love to learn a little bit more about SmartRecruiters. We're going to fly to San Francisco and we're going to do a day-long workshop with you. And I thought that was a little odd because usually we do you do a Zoom or like a virtual call. And Bosch showed up at our offices in an alley in San Francisco, like very startup, mind you.
Green bean bags. I remember.
And we were like sitting in this little conference room.
The fishbowl, all glass.
It was the fishbowl. Like it was surrounded by glass. And we did this whole workshop. And so started this journey with Bosch. But throughout the whole thing, they'd leave the room, they'd leave the conversation, they'd leave the follow-up call. And I remember us all just looking at each other like, there is zero chance these people think SmartRecruiters. I was like, what a like career, like just torpedo this poor man, because we were so little and we didn't have an enterprise customer and we had a lot of passion and power around the space, but we certainly were not there. And I remember this little evaluation went on for several months. And then they called me for like the 5th time to Stuttgart to present. And this time I was going to meet with G13, which if you don't know anything about big German companies, like, and especially Bosch, their leaders are all assigned numbers at Bosch. And in the case of HR, that 13 was the number. And similar, as I understand it, similar to like a sports team.
Oh,
When they retire, they retire the number.
okay.
So like no one ever gets to be G13 again. And so now I guess the head of HR is not 13, is my understanding. So they kept referring to him as G13. By the way, to this day, I think I could maybe recall his actual, but they never actually called him by his real name. And so they called me into this office and for 2 hours, they prepped me on this meeting with him. They would almost like interview. So I would sit there and they'd ask me a question. I'd provide an answer. And then they'd say, oh, I wouldn't say it that way. I'd say it some. And like the project team was like very, very focused on prepping me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is very, very stressful. They then like walk me to this other building where they said that he was coming, but then they said like he's coming in a helicopter. This is crazy that we're being asked to do this. He was in a helicopter. He comes in the room. And all I remember was this man had the most epic alligator shoes on, like epic alligator shoes. And I just like looking at this guy's shoes and he comes up to me and I go, hi, I am Rebecca Carr. I run product for SmartRecruiters. I'm really excited to meet you. And he says hello. And then he goes, why do you think you deserve to win this over the greatest software platform of all time in SAP?
Oh, the irony.
Oh, the irony, right? And I provided an answer about flexibility and partnership and our willingness to learn and build with them because that's where we were in our journey and my excitement around the team. And I had all these different things. And he goes, that'll work. And I was like, he left. Then he left. And I remember going, oh my God, I think we just did this. From like, I was like, wait a second, did we just do this? And I got on the plane. We did. We won the account. And for the next, my God, how many years? I mean, you and I were.
We went all over. Germany, India, everywhere.
It was a blast. And we were successful in deploying them on time and with all the capabilities. And to this day, they're still a customer of
Still a
SmartRecruiters.
customer.
So it was like people ask me all the time, what do you think was one of the inflection points of SmartRecruiters? Like if you could like pin it on one thing, and that deal was it.
Yep.
I don't think we'd be here today without it.
Oh, such a good blast from the past to just going down this path with you and remembering moments like that where I mean, Queener was amazing, but very visionary and big visions. And he wasn't wrong, right? Like jumping straight to enterprise was not easy, but I think it was the testament of working with a company that's so strong in their process, like a German-based company of Bosch with workers' council and like exceeding rules world. Think about like any country in the world that has the most rules and additional layers of complexity, that's Germany. And not in a bad way, because I think that set us up for GDPR across the world, all these things that we are able to do confidently and then spread to other enterprise customers. Um, so you are absolutely right. That was an inflection point for Bosch. But I want you to share more about those early months, right? That first go live was how many months after, and how many hiring processes did Bosch go live with?
I think they had a side one that would they anchored it one, but they had a couple like nuanced things here or there. But we deployed a bunch of different countries. It was 94 days,
Yes, it was 3 months. Yes.
like 110,000 people were in the first go live. I mean, they have over 400,000 people that work for them today, so that like it was about a quarter, but very, very
Yes.
fast. It was the craziest couple months personally because I was never home, but it was really fun. I have like some of the best memories of work, not just with the people that I worked with at SmartRecruiters, but to build that kind of rapport with a customer, to be around the world, to experience all these different things with them, and to trust each other. You realize how important that connection is to success. I I then think about what happened during COVID and how we all retreated to our own homes. Like a lot of our early success was because we were sitting in the same room with people. We were we were going to different places. We were learning and experiencing the culture and processes of these organizations, and we're able to adapt them really quickly. And we've obviously found ways to still continue that success in a remote world, but it was really, really powerful. I think that we wouldn't have been able to do it any other way if we hadn't spent that kind of time together.
Yeah, I think we hear often that it's the people and the trust that you build at Smart Recruiters that truly differentiates us from other technology in the market. And I think that's still tried and true. And I mean, there were rocky times, right? You think enterprise customer, there's going to be product needs that we didn't have yet. And they had your ear, right? You were right there as the executive sponsor. You were a product leader. And so it was very collaborative, but not everything came the next day. And so I think having that people connection, that trust, they trusted we would get there with them. And they also got to throw in their, list of, hey, I would like this.
But we did our part too. Like I really do think that it partnership is very bidirectional, and I think one of the mistakes a lot of organizations make when they decide to invest or take a bet on a startup like that is that they throw around their own power and leverage because they are paying obviously these organizations a lot of money, with this like list of expectations that they absolutely need, and they get angry and they threaten when they don't do it. Bosch wasn't like that though. They wanted me to push back and tell them no, and they wanted to have a healthy debate around why they thought they were right, and they wanted me to offer innovative new perspectives that might make them better. And so, did we deliver features for Bosch? Of course we did. But we did that because we knew they would serve a larger audience in the Smart Recruiters customer base, and equally so, they tried to do things differently, way outside the Bosch comfort zone that we had made recommendations toward. And the hiring processes is actually a really good example of that. We thought standardization was important because Bosch was on a journey toward productized software and like real SaaS, not just like custom on-prem infrastructure. And they took to heart and they compromised. That I think just strengthened sort of our ability to get through. So yeah.
Yeah. I think the other piece that we also built out after that was the change management. And yes, I love change management, but the whole thing of having these rules for design of candidate first and coming back to that, right? They were really, really religious about doing that and ensuring that was the priority. And I think that helped to build the design to support that. But then there was also the standardization with global flex. And so all of this like methodology for us came out that we could then replicate with other customers with hiring success.
Which we did. We did. I mean, we talked about that all the time. Your point on candidate experience is really important. Um, they always ask themselves in every choice they made, what will be the impact on the candidate? And if the candidate experience was going to be awful because they wanted to facilitate some crazy back office process, they told the people on the process side no. And they just like held the line there. And I think that they were probably one of the first customers that actually had that as almost like a checklist item. Will the candidate be impacted? And I think we did. We encouraged a lot of that same questioning, a lot of that same templatization, that 80% global consistency, 20% regional customization. All those things became part of like the manual on how to deploy smart recruiters, and their fingerprints are all over it. And they've made a lot of other people very successful because we were able to really partner with them on that documentation and that flow.
You've seen Swathy in the past month, years. What are the like remember whens or like, oh my gosh, here we are and look how far we've come kind of moments that again make this amplified in just how we continue to partner?
First of all, it's always so lovely to see her and anyone on her team. She has now, like, her own career has accelerated because of the success, and I'm so proud to watch her own more and more around this process. I think when we get together, we talk a lot about how hard it was in the moment, but how great, like, what real grit and determination can do to drive outcomes on the personal and professional level, not just the organizational level. And so we tend to talk a lot about that because our journeys have both gone up into the right.
Yeah.
But we also talk about the funny stories, the crazy things that happened to us in certain cities, the lunches that we had together. Last time I was with her, Eva was with her.
Oh,
Eva was one of the consultants that worked on the project and now works for Bosch and works at Swathy. So she ended up going and transferring to Bosch. And um, I was talking about how when we went to Shanghai, I was at the top of what it's like the second Shanghai Tower. It's like the second largest building in the world. And I went with a bunch of the Bosch people to go to the top, but one of them was deathly afraid of heights. And so like his back was like against the elevator wall and he was shuffling along the side of the observation deck, like wouldn't go near the window, but the other ones like kept walking like right up to the edge. Interestingly enough, there was an opening in the edge and no rope. So I remember thinking like, it's not safety standards. You tell a lot of personal stories about those trips and they live on and they had impact on them too. And it makes me feel really good. I'm not the only person that remembered the moment. They did as well because it felt equally like an inflection point to them in their early careers and has accelerated their own journeys.
and Bosch is an SAP customer as well. And so now they get the best of both worlds, right? Because they have SR as part of the SAP family. What has been the sentiment from Bosch around this? What are they excited for us to amplify within the success factors SAP world?
Well, obviously, they're big success factors, like full stack customers. Actually, a lot of the same members of the team, Michael, ended up deploying SmartRecruiters and then
Oh,
SuccessFactors.
wow.
Yeah, so, like, they had a lot of the same project people. I mean, now the sheer access to data and insight that our mutual integrations have only makes the other half of that party successful. So, if I know a lot about their employees and their talent mobility strategy because I can now read and be integrated into SuccessFactors, I can bring that into the recruiting experience. I can bring more candidate data into the front end of the process, and that's a very valuable workflow for Bosch, especially since they're so committed to talent management and mobility. And equally so, recruiting data and recruiting experience can feed how they catalog skills, how they create jobs, how they think about what the job means to them, how they match internal, do the reverse matching of internal candidates back to jobs they have, how they do capacity planning. All of these things could be highly valuable to them. And they are, I would say, on a very accelerated journey around AI. They've been working on it for a very long time and have started to think about how they're going to integrate their own innovations. I mean, Bosch as a product company is themselves very innovative, and they built a lot of stuff themselves. I think SAP and now SmartRecruiters offer them this really interesting ecosystem that they can plug their own custom agents into. Obviously, Autonomous Enterprise just announced at Sapphire not too long ago. One of the big themes of that announcement was just how open we wanted to be, not just to industry leading LLMs and products, but to what customers bring to their own innovation strategy. And so Bosch can play into that as someone that really believes in that approach.
And it's crazy to see such a large organization be on the forefront with us for this. But I think that, as much as Bosch did for us, we probably did a lot for them in the world of SaaS, in the world of now agentic to help them to have the processes and roles to support this going forward, to be able to move as quickly as innovation is happening. So that's super exciting. Okay. Now, I don't love the word regret, but I'm going to ask, as you look back on the years of Bosch, what's one thing that you wish we did or did differently, that would have just amplified things?
I think the way that we worked with Bosch was important to us in the moment. I think what we built for them was all the right things. I think that implementations become this moment, and they usually last for, let's call it like 9, 12, 18 months max, depending on if you phase or big bang or things like that. And what ended up happening is, like, we did that with them, and then we transitioned them into a fantastic customer experience. We had CSMs and account managers and folks like that. I think the level of feedback loop, the depth of the feedback loop, though, that we created in the implementation helped us move faster, and we lost that in that transition. And a lot of what I've been thinking about with my own product organization today is how you keep that level of, like, really high touch alive in an agentic era. We used people to keep that feedback loop tight, but, like, how does one now stay in front of the adoption of a product, or monitoring how people are using products, engaging with users as they're giving feedback to the product, both in writing or otherwise, and then immediately implement that in, like, a really, really tight loop. A lot of organizations do this very well. There's a lot of people that we're starting to experiment too with how do you give like UI feedback on demand and then actually use agents to build and deploy that feedback so that people can engage with it and give you subsequent feedback. Um, I wish we had had that opportunity with them, because what we delivered was so powerful in those 18 months that I wouldn't say the relationship changed. It just, we didn't have in product as tight a connection to them ongoing, because we made that transition. And I wish we had, because I think we could have kept learning with them even more. But they moved off the projects. We moved off the projects. New people all came in. And I'd love to kind of keep that customer experience consistent through the life of a contract, not just the first, like, critical months.
No, I love
Yeah.
that. I think it's a great point, and we talk often about how quickly agentic is moving and innovation and feedback loops. And, right now there's that spreadsheet and this spreadsheet and that person with their own spreadsheet. And it's like, how do you centralize? How do you execute in an effective manner? So pretty powerful. All right. We are going to move to more about you personally outside of this wonderful world of work. And I think our audience wants to know what drives Rebecca, right? Like what has made Rebecca Rebecca as we think of outside of work. And so as you think about your personal life, as you think about everything, what's your happy hour outside of work? What brings you bliss? What de-stresses you?
As you were just saying that, I was thinking, what makes Rebecca Rebecca? My mom. And I am the perfect balance of my parents. I don't know if when you got older, you realized like, oh yeah, I can see my parents in
Oh yeah.
me, and their parents in me. But my goodness, my mom is like the sharpest, like most emotionally intelligent, like
Oh,
just like judgy in a good way, but like also like unbelievably high bar. I mean, she sits at the dinner table now with my kids, and I hear her in the background being like, "Why are you going to do it this way? Because you're a winner." And I'm like, "You're not allowed to say that anymore. We're millennials." My mom, and then my dad, who's like the most responsible and ethical person of all time. But no, what makes Rebecca Rebecca is Rosemary and Walt. I'll tell you that much. But to your point, what do I de-stress? I was an athlete in college, and being like getting like that time to be physical, be outside, not have music on, not be in front of a phone is really important to me. And in the years when I was first with Smart Recruiters, when I first met my husband, prior to that, I was really into triathlons in San Francisco. Since I've had kids, I haven't had as much time to be a triathlete, but I did Ironman. I love long distance
you're
events.
crazy.
And so I did a lot of Ironman, 70.3s, fulls, the whole gamut. And it was funny, everybody would always say when you're training, when you're working out, like, what do you listen to? Do you digest podcasts? All of that. No, never. I was in silence all the time. And I would just think, I would just think, be in my own head. And it brought me a lot of joy to do that, and a lot of personal success to say that I actually like, conquered something that big. But it's funny, my tactic for anybody that does this is like very quiet, like likes peace when they're working out. If you ever do like a marathon or a long distance event, I used to, for the Ironman, for miles on the bike or miles on running, I used to come up with a list of 26 people in my life. You were actually one of those people at one point, Nicole, by the way. 26 people in my life. And I would memorize in order their names. And then as I would run and I'd see the mile marker, I would think about that person for just that
Oh
mile.
my gosh.
And then the second that I got to the mile marker, even if I was in the middle of a thought, I would just change to the next person. And I'd think about conversations I had, what I wanted to tell them, what I wish they would do more of, which I wish they would tell me, how much I enjoyed being with them, what I hated about them. Like it just is like everything. I would just think only about that person, and it helped move the miles faster.
That's
Uh,
incredible.
if I were to do a marathon today, I'd do the same thing for sure.
Yeah, that's insane. Wow. Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. Well, we know the stats with athletes, right? Especially women athletes and CEO status, C-suite executives. Like it is no joke that you overcome trials and tribulations. You have methods to your madness. You live in a world where, you can always do better. And so that is pretty powerful. And you rode in college, right?
I did. I was a rower. Also the most peaceful and amazing sport of all time. Like I used to call it the ultimate team sport, and I loved it because no one was the superstar. Like I really liked that you had to win as a
Yeah.
team, and no one, yes, inevitably there was somebody that like had an amazing erg score, but the world didn't know that. And without the other people around them, they couldn't have won. And so I just like the camaraderie of that, the equity of it.
Love it. I'm seeing indirect leadership skills just with the individual sport, the team sport. Okay. Third part, which is my favorite, and I'm really excited because we get to do this twice and they'll be different, but we're going to go through some this or that's. Have you played?
Well, I played in other contexts, but on this, yeah, you're this will be fun, I'm sure. You're good at that.
This first one is more around just the industry, questions around your thoughts around TA, world of work, etc. And then, of course, personal ones related to sports and maybe some other topics. All right. First one that I ask everyone, resume or LinkedIn profile?
Oh, LinkedIn profile.
Love it. AI efficiency or human connection?
Human connection.
Experience matters or potential matters more?
Potential matters so much more.
Love it. Love it. Human potential or process perfection?
Human potential, but like that's actually very hard. I don't like the word perfection. I think process agility is better.
And you can choose both. This is a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, I would say that you need great talent with a lot of grit, belief, potential to execute well-defined processes, but be unromantic about holding to them.
Unromantic. I'm going to take that one with me. Okay. Reward or recognition?
Oh, recognition.
World of work as we know it or rebooting work entirely?
Rebooting work entirely.
I threw that one at you. Building technology or building confidence in people?
Well, building confidence in people. Like tech is an enabler of people's success, not the driver of it.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a 3-part. Swim, bike, or run, all the parts of an Ironman.
Swim.
You're so crazy.
Swim. I loved the swim.
Wow.
I loved the swim.
And they say Ironman individuals that are really, really good are strong in the swim.
Do you know why though?
No.
So I liked the swim because I swam in high school and I was good at like the swim itself is not that long if you've ever been a swimmer.
Okay.
It's like this, it's the same length as a warm up and a swim practice. So like you don't, but the reason being, and a lot of professional swimmers become triathletes afterwards, it's because you're not tired going into the bike. Like swim itself is like takes a lot out of people that don't swim a lot. And then you go into the bike depleted. If you had just done a warm up, you feel great.
Okay.
And so then you take off in the bike as a result. But the biggest barrier to entry in becoming a triathlete is that a lot of people don't know how to swim and they can't do the swim. So that's why a lot of people don't get into it. But if you're good at it, you're usually very good at being a triathlete.
Yeah, I could see that. I've done a sprint and I'm like, okay, yeah, good. But I was tired after that swim, which totally not even close to a warm up. I'll stick to running. Pilates or rowing?
Pilates now. I love Pilates. Oh my goodness. I do Pilates every day. I have my own reformer.
Do you go through your names and do that again, or do you have a new thing that you go through when you're doing? This was my Pilates move, by the way.
No, I don't. I actually, I take virtual classes that are recorded.
Oh, that's
so I have like a TV in my Pilates room. And I use this woman in Atlanta. She's fantastic. And she comes out with weekly programs. Oh. And I almost as if I'm in a live class in a studio.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cook or eat out?
Eat out.
Same. But now with gardening or working out?
Oh, I love gardening.
So I've learned.
I know. I bought this house last year and the previous owners were crazy garden people. And actually it's one of the things I loved about the house. I was like, I would love to have great gardens. Turns out it's a ton of work, like a lot of work. But I have like a beautiful vegetable garden now and like pretty flowers and it's like my pride and joy. And when the grass gets mowed, it like gives me like peace.
Last one, vacation or staycation?
Oh boy. I like vacations. I do. Cause I'm always here working. Like, you know, her bedroom is like below us. Like I'm never leaving this like little roof area. So I want to get out and I like to My kids, I like are great when they travel, and so I'll take them and explore.
Oh, Rebecca, this has been so much fun. For all of you listening, you know where to find Rebecca. She's on LinkedIn. She's all over the world speaking. And she is the CEO of SmartRecruiters, an SAP company. Thank you for being here. And thank you for, again, continuing the belief as we go through this next chapter, which for those of you that are listening, stay tuned for part 2 with Rebecca.
Of course. Thank you.
And that wraps another episode of Hiring Happy Hour. Thanks for tuning in and for believing, like we do, that hiring isn't just about filling jobs, it's about the impact we make. To catch more stories and show notes, visit hiringhappyhour.com. This episode was brought to you by SmartRecruiters, an SAP company, an AI-powered platform for superhuman hiring. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep humanizing hiring. Cheers!